We're going on airplanes, people. We're flying in airplanes. Can't go into a classroom? Sounds like the safest place you could be.
Suck it up and tell the teachers unions to get kids back in school.
Going back to school one day a week does not mean schools are reopened any more than, seeing your ex once a week at 3 a.m. means you're back together. Yeah. It's like a cheap substitute and a joke.
It's all...
And now, President Biden on reopening schools.
I made a commitment that we try to get K through 8 back to school by the end of this 100 days.
To safely reopen a majority of our K through 8 schools by the end of the first 100 days.
Yeah, well, that commitment has turned into 1 day a week in April.
When President Biden talked for the last couple months, particularly during the transition, about reopening schools within the first 100 days, why didn't he ever mention the small print that was just going to be for 1 day a week as the goal?
That is the bar we're trying to leap over and exceed.
A salamander could leap over that bar. I could walk under that bar.
You said the goal was for more than 50% of schools to have some teaching in person at least 1 day a week. You said you hoped it would be higher. But why is the administration setting the bar at 1 day a week? Why not go higher?
That is our own effort to set our own markings, set an bold and ambitious agenda for how we're going to measure ourselves and progress.
Going back to school 1 day a week does not mean schools are reopened any more than, seeing your ex once a week at 3 a.m. means you're back together. Yeah. It's like a cheap substitute and a joke.
It's all...
Duh. Of course not. They're not going to have to go back to school in-person learning unless the teachers are forced to do so. Now, they could buy every teacher a full spacesuit and vaccinate them and install hundreds of billions of dollars of new HVAC systems in schools. And Fauci and Biden would just move on to squawking about another virus mutation's coming. Come on, man.
What we are finding from the science-based literature is that there is more spread that is happening in the community when schools are not open than when schools are open.
So it's really a stunning degree of hypocrisy that now they have the medical experts, they have the scientists proving that it is safe to get kids back in the classroom, yet they're politicizing it and holding it off purely because of pressure that Democrats are receiving from teachers' unions. It's tragic. It is sad. We are going to see the consequences of not having kids in schools for decades to come, and it will be a failure of this administration that allowed it to happen.
The president's role is, of course, to ensure that across government, we are listening to those guidelines, we are leaning into science, we are letting the science and medical experts lead, and then his objective is to ensure there's the funding to deliver on that. That's in the American Rescue Plan.
I have to say I feel a little dispirited after this conversation because I had high hopes that schools would be able to resume in-person learning because so many scientists and health officials, including you and Dr. Fauci and others, have been talking about the science supports opening the schools as much as possible. I know that a lot of teachers are very concerned, and I know that teachers' unions have been pushing back on this.
If you're trying to force us back into the building, give us a real plan. A schedule, a link to get tested, right? We need an actual, real plan, not something vague that says we'll start getting vaccinated in mid-February when you expect us in the building tomorrow.
If you look at the data, the spread among children and from children is not really very big at all. Not
Hold
like
on. It appears the classroom is about the safest fucking place you can be. We're going on airplanes, people. We're fucking flying in airplanes. Can't go into a classroom? Sounds like the safest place you could be.
Suck it up and tell the teachers unions to get kids back in school. I know we just spent some time talking about that, but I would like to hear reporters press him and not just hear it from Jen Psaki. I want to hear it from the president's mouth.